1687 AD, when a Turkish army used it to store ammunition, and there was a shattering explosion. Though accidents and pillaging have taken their toll, the glory survives. Archaeological reconstruction allows us to see these treasures as they were meant to be seen thousands of years ago. A look at the eastern gable shows scenes of the mythical battle for control of Athens between the goddess Athena and Poseidon, god of the sea, which, according to mythology, was fought on the Acropolis. Wonderful as the exterior of the Parthenon was, the real meaning of the Parthenon lay inside. The Parthenon celebrated one of Athena's most revered aspects, Athena as virgin. The statue of Athena inside the temple is, by all accounts, one of the most glorious lost treasures of the ancient world. Made of gold and ivory, it was over 40 feet tall. It was so expensive, the cost to build it was enough to outfit 300 warships. Its sculptor, Phidias, was said to have been inspired by the actual presence of the goddess in his studio as he worked. But the exorbitant price so angered the Athenians that Phidias was forced to go into exile for the rest of his life. The statue remained in place until 426 AD. Then an invading army took it to far-off Constantinople, where it was destroyed in a fire which also consumed most of the city. Archaeologists know a lot about it through the so-called statuette of Varvakion, a small reproduction of the Hellenistic period. For countless centuries, Athens and the Acropolis were a beacon for travelers throughout the ancient world. Many were on their way to Delphi, a holy place just northwest of Athens. There was a great temple here dedicated to the god Apollo. Delphi was also the site of a mystic oracle who gave cryptic glimpses of the future. Today, archaeologists experiment with techniques duplicating those available to the ancients, trying to determine just how the marble used at Delphi was brought here and put into place. This was built by the people of Athens in thanks for their great victory against the Persians at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC. Once these rooms were heaped with shields and spears wrested from the Persians, and devotional statues made of gold and silver. But of course, all these treasures are long gone. Greek women at this time would have visited Delphi, adorned with jewelry and other ornaments. They would have scented themselves with perfume made from herbal extracts like mint, sesame, and cumin, and even worn lipstick. An ordinary day for a family began at dawn. Breakfast for adults and children alike was usually a little bread dipped in wine. As the day went on, the wife would attend to the children and the house, while the husband left for a more public life. Athens offered an almost infinite variety of diversions for a male citizen of the upper classes. Unburdened by regular employment, he could visit and drink with friends, while his wife stayed quietly at home. The men did do the shopping in an area called the Agora, offering a huge variety of goods: household utensils, vegetables, wine, toiletries, pottery, leather and wooden objects, miraculous herbs, and medicines. Inevitably, coins were dropped, rolled away, lost, and then found thousands of years later. They have proven that goods were paid for with both local currency and the coins of other city-states. Undoubtedly, the bargaining was vigorous. Another of the living links between ancient and modern Athens is the market in the city's Monastirakis district. Then as now, it was a huge chaotic bazaar where you could buy just about anything. 200 years before Christ, one writer said, "In Athens, they sell everything in one place. All sorts of figs, bunches of grapes, turnips, pears, apples, and fish from every sea, lamb, animal entrails, myrtle berries, water clocks, chickpeas, cow colostrum pudding, and honeycombs." Even if one was of moderate income, the family would still have fish and beans as well as lots of onions, cheeses, and garlic on the table at mealtime. The wine of the ancient Greeks had a high alcohol content, so it was diluted for serving. 1 part wine to 5 parts water. Mixing was done in large bowls and often flavored with scents like thyme, mint, and cinnamon. Outside the home, wine was a crucial social bond, particularly at the symposium. The word symposium literally means to drink together. Wives were not permitted to attend the symposiums of ancient Greece, but there were women present. They were courtesans, well-trained girls whose charms included dancing, music, and the reciting of comic and erotic poetry. Prostitution was so important in ancient Athens, the great lawgiver Solon included it in his rulings. The trade was concentrated in Kerameikos, a section by the Dippolon Gate, one of the city's most important. The district was also famous for the thousands of craftsmen and artists who produced beautiful pottery, decorated with characteristic black and red figures. Pottery traded throughout the ancient world. Pottery production was a key component of the economic life of the ancient world, much like the automobile industry today. Potters and kilns kept busy 24 hours a day meant prosperity. In large measure, the life of Athens depended on what went on here. In another part of the city, the Agora, with its stoa, was a major center for local trade. Built in the 2nd century BC, it became another living link to the past when it was fully rebuilt in 1953. Today, it is the prestigious home of the Agora Museum. The Stoa, a building with great colonnades and stores for retail sales, not only housed a 2-story shopping center, but was also the site where many philosophers of ancient Athens gave their lectures. There were only male philosophers, no women, and men only were allowed to attend the lectures. Women were believed to be incapable of rational thought. At the center of the Agora stood the Tholos Prytanea, erected during the 5th century BC with a diameter of 60 feet. This is where the Senate of Athens used to gather to debate the issues of the day, what laws to pass, what rival states to ally with, which to fight. Should Socrates be put to death for preaching sedition? The senators were able to continue their sessions into the night because beds were brought in to make their stay more comfortable. The Thesion dominated the entire area. Although it was built during the time of Pericles, it remains in remarkably good condition. In large part, this is because of its conversion in the 5th century AD into a Christian church dedicated to St. George. It has 6 columns on the facade and 13 on each side. The building's conversion to Christianity did not affect the embellishments celebrating pagan heroes like Theseus and Hercules. There used to be a sacred area dedicated to the most important Greek gods where the subway now passes. The site was considered the center of Athens. All distances were measured from an altar that stood here. workers building the subway found sparse fragments which, together with contemporary accounts, allowed archaeologists to envision the site as it was then. The altar was surrounded by a low, square wall. Drinking fountains were situated at the two entrances to allow visitors to cool down, and a small altar was in the middle. Further on is the Stoa of Zeus Eleutherius, another place where men like Socrates and Plato developed the philosophies which would shape Western thought. Today, city managers are assessing the feasibility of a project to restore the precious ancient site. In a sense, vast reaches of time are condensed in a place like Athens, the bustling present and the distant past coexisting as one. Athens, which survived the Persians and the plague and all the assaults that followed. Athens, the stage for endless human drama, thousands of years connected by the concerns of countless humans, mothers sending their children out into the uncertainties of an ever-changing world. Athens, the city of philosophers and artists, extraordinary people. Athens, favorite of the gods and goddesses. Athens, the favorite of time.
Espero que vocês tenham gostado desse documentário que acabamos de mostrar para vocês sobre Atenas. E se você tem alguma crítica ou sugestão para nos enviar, faça por e-mail através do contato@arqueonews.com.br ou também pelo Twitter, através do twitter.com/arqueonews. E também, se você quiser acessar a nossa página do Facebook, pode fazê-lo pela minha página pessoal, Manoel Gonzalez, onde você também ficará sabendo das últimas notícias sobre arqueologia e sobre o patrimônio cultural do Brasil e do mundo. Estamos ficando por aqui, deixo o meu grande abraço e até a próxima semana com mais um Arqueonews.